our intentions should, I think, be weighed when we're learning a new language and we're learning a new way of being and being open and inclusive. We're not going to get it right. And so I think intention does count.
This is The Music Executive, a show where we talk about gig tips, music business strategies, songwriting experiences, collabs, and even more with industry professionals. Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Cinnamon Denise. That's cinnamon like the spice, Denise like Denise. And today we have an amazing, incredible, superb, intelligent, intellectual guest, Lisa Machac, who is both a musician and the director of the incredible Omni Sound Project. Now, the Omni Sound Project is an organization that's really dedicated to being an accessible point of entry to music and audio industries. I'm going to let Lisa say a little bit more about the Omni Sound Project, but first, Lisa, if you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what would you say?
I would say, calm down, everybody.
And boom, 30 seconds over.
I only need 3 seconds.
3 seconds, so 3 words, 4 syllables. That's all you need, right? Lisa, how you doing today?
Good. How are you, Cinnamon?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about your background and what really prompted you to start the Omni Sound Project.
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm so excited about your podcast. I can think of very few people that I would rather listen to talk to other folks. So I'm just really excited to hear everything that you come up with and all the people you talk to. So Omni Sound Project was born out of my curiosity about audio engineering. I've been playing music for about 20 years, and about 10 years ago, I recorded an album out of the back of a pickup truck. I built a sound studio out of a camper in the back of a pickup truck. I got funding through Kickstarter and got a computer and a microphone, and I traveled around to 17 states and recorded 30 musicians in different states on 10 tracks. And it was called Songs from a Truck. So that was like my entree into like audio and recording. And it was just something that I considered an aside of that project. And when I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, I really like this. I like the mixing. I like editing. And so I started searching for audio classes directly after that. I was living in the Bay Area and started taking classes at Women's Audio Mission, which most of our audience probably knows. If you don't, definitely go check it out, Wham. And then moved back to Austin, where I've lived for a long time, and just kept writing Wham and saying, would you please put on some courses or seminars here in Austin? We don't have anything like it. And after they patiently explained to me for the millionth time that they were focused on the Bay Area, I decided to start Omni Sound Project in Austin last winter. So we had 4 classes live and in person before the pandemic forced us to go online. And now we are not located in Austin anymore. We're a global community.
And I wonder, out of curiosity, what Wham is doing. Are they still focused on the Bay Area right now? Or
no, I think there's Wham, there's FemHouse, there's Women in Sound, there's Zine. There's so many awesome organizations that I think were locally focused that have now expanded. And rather than compete, I think we're all offering complimentary services and events. So it's pretty great. It's a good time to be a woman in audio.
Yes, it is. It's a good time to be a woman, right?
Yeah.
And the conversations are changing. The people at the table who are having those conversations are changing. And I tell you what, Omni Sound Project is at the front of that table, spearheading those conversations being changed. So thank you so much for creating the Omni Sound Project and collaborating with other organizations, because I think it'd be real easy to think you're competing against one another, but that just shows you what happens when women are running things. We're not competing against one another. We can support one another. So
yeah, kind of that. I try to be really careful about using the phrase male and female when I'm talking about qualities of being, right? Or even masculine and feminine. So, but I like the phrase, somebody referred to Omni as a matriarchy. It was like, yeah, guys are welcome, but it's a matriarchy, so you're going to have to do things a little differently. And I really like that idea.
That is a great way of putting that. You can, have you adopted that officially, or that's just another way you explain it?
No, you know me, I'm like a research person, so I got to nerd out about the definition of matriarchy and make sure that I'm not excluding anybody.
Right. Well, that's good.
Because one thing I do want to point out is when you and I say the term women in this interview, I know we both agree that we're really into including marginalized genders, whether they're identifying as female or gender nonconforming or trans. There's a lot of different genders now, and we want to just make sure that there's space for everybody. So I kind of want to do that disclaimer.
Yes, thank you for doing that. I will be transparent and say that I am one of the individuals in the world that will make the mistake by saying male or female. And I recognize that as really a microaggression in a lot of ways. So thank you for correcting me and always being transparent about that. So to the audience, just note that. And so about Omni Sound Project, you've really built a team. You really have. You built a team starting from a very interesting place, right? And I want to talk about how you've really built that team and the things that go into doing that. This show is not only about people who are in the music industry or in the audio industry, but have the ability to grow projects, have the ability to build teams, and you've really done that. So first thing that I think with building a team is establishing strong leadership. How do you establish strong leadership?
I thought a lot about this idea since you and I first discussed this podcast. First of all, I just read a lot. I'm really interested in psychology and leadership and moral psychology. And so I'm kind of always reading and trying to learn how to be a better person, be a better leader. And then, I'm older, so I've had a lot of experience having leaders and knowing what has worked and motivated me. And then I've also had a couple businesses before this where I had a strong team in one and a not so strong team in the other. And so I kind of assessed those situations afterwards when starting Omni. So specific to Omni, I was really intent on going with my gut in terms of the type of people who I really respected and felt like shared a set of morals with me. I think, a minute ago you referred to a microaggression. And I think, we're all very respectful, but also we all give each other the benefit of the doubt. I think that's really important because our intentions should, I think, be weighed when we're learning a new language and learning a new way of being and being open and inclusive. We're not going to get it right. And so I think intention does count. And I really wanted to have people around me that were inclusive and open-minded, but also not quite so judgmental maybe about when we don't get it right.
Yeah.
That we're kind of open to like helping each other learn. And so, I had a lot of interviews before choosing staff and teachers, and I turned down a lot. I didn't offer classes to a lot of people. And I was just really going with my gut of like, as long as they're a good teacher, first and foremost, it doesn't matter what else, that's the most important thing. But then also just someone, I really want to share a moral code with you guys. And I really believe that all of our teachers have that shared value system. And so that's, I think if you have that, everything kind of takes care of itself,
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a level. So going back, and then I'll bring us back forward. So going back to the intention, my intentions are good, right? So I thank you for kind of appeasing me in that way, because I by no means ever mean to exclude anyone. It's definitely not intentional. So thank you for bringing that perspective. And that's a new perspective that, as far as like intention, the way you've approached establishing your leadership and how you've chosen people on your team. Intention is a big word for today, I think. So how did you really go about, quote unquote, vetting apart from them being a good teacher? I mean, how do you tell what someone's intentions are or how you have the same moral code just off of an interview?
Yeah. Well, like when you and I, for those listening, Cinnamon is one of our core faculty for Omni Sound Project, and we're so lucky to have her. So, for example, when you and I talked, our first conversation was on the phone. We still haven't met in person, even though we live in the same town. And you've taught now 4 or 5 classes for us and been my consultant on every question I could possibly ask. And so we've done a lot of phone chatting. But with you, we talked for so long that first time. I don't know if you remember, but we talked for like an hour or something. And I look for a few things when I'm talking to somebody. First of all, I'm looking for, are they good at explaining concepts? So sometimes I'll just ask a random audio question to just see how they would explain it to me.
So it was a trick, Lisa. It was a whole trick.
Well, no, I'm just paying attention. I definitely was interviewing you, but that's kind of how I'm finding out if you're a good teacher is like, as you know, I'm a beginner. So if you can explain it to me in a way that makes me feel like I understand, then I've gotten a taste as to what you're going to be like as a teacher. And then as far as the values and the morals, I mean, I really, like I said, I look for people who are inclusive in their language, but also who are open-minded and kind of apologize when they get things wrong and are into growing and changing and learning.
Nice. That's I didn't know I was being interviewed, so this is news to me. But that's good. We did talk for a while, but you and I, we love talking to one another, I think. So we're good friends and colleagues or whatever, the professional friends. So we definitely have each other's back. So how do you empower your team? How do you empower them because you really give teachers free rein when it comes to the structure of their classes. You guide us on, the subject matter and certain things you'd like covered, but really you let us go at it. So how do you empower your team?
Well, I think that we established early on that I was lucky enough to find people who were kind of willing to develop this with me. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, instantly my plans changed. I had 2020 booked every 2 weeks at a physical studio, and it was a 3-hour class. It was hands-on. There was a break. I mean, it was a big thing. And so when we went online, it was like, oh my God, what do we do? How do we do this? Is anyone going to be interested? I mean, what are we doing? So you guys all really helped me kind of write that curriculum. And so with new people, the first thing I do is I have them attend your classes. You guys don't know that probably, but anytime there's a new teacher, they're in 2 or 3 classes before they teach. They're watching you guys. But also I offer to people as much help as they want developing curriculum. So some people I actually work really, really closely on curriculum development with. You didn't need that because you had that background. And, I kind of just let you fly knowing that you knew how to structure a class, you knew how to convey information in an hour. And so some people, the first or second time, they need a little more hand-holding and help. I shouldn't say hand-holding because that's my job, right? It's like I'm helping develop that curriculum the first or second time. And then, I think I like the idea that I've empowered our teachers, but I don't know that I deserve that credit. I think, again, just drawing good people to me and surrounding myself with people who I trust, I think you guys, the teachers are empowered.
Right. So one other thing, so y'all, she says she doesn't empower us, but she really does empower us every time she lets us teach a class or just be involved with Omni. One thing I do want to talk about is, I don't want to call it conflict resolution or confrontation, but you'll get what I mean when I say this. So we had someone's profile picture up and someone commented and said, hey, so-and-so, your picture's really hot. And then the meeting was kind of closing and that sort of thing. So, that everything ended pretty abruptly, but it wasn't because of that comment. But nonetheless, it did make that individual feel, like I'm not here to... I'm here to learn, essentially. And regardless of what the intention was, it's not the right environment, right? So you address that. And how do you address that without making it an environment where it no longer feels safe to even say anything? Or isn't it more important for it to feel safe to set boundaries and that sort of thing? So what's your approach with that?
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. I read this book called The Righteous Mind, and it's Why We're Divided. And they talk a lot about like the rules for our spaces and how to kind of balance the idea of inclusivity and making sure everyone's welcome, but then also establishing expectations and rules. And that's not at all what the book's about, but there are parts of it that talk about that I think a lot about with Omni. That particular situation, I reached out to the person that it happened to and apologized. I didn't know the person who commented. It was a big class, and so I didn't actually go back and ask them not to do it again. It was also, again, with the intention. I don't know about you, but I didn't feel that the intention was malicious. I felt like it was like just, woohoo, yay, you go kind of thing. And it was just maybe a little awkward, like more than anything. But still, we want, like you said, we're here to learn, not talk about that each other's appearance. It's not like a makeup tutorial class.
Right,
or whatever,
exactly.
And so, which there's nothing wrong with that, but we just want that to be a different space. So yeah, as you know, the next class, I started reading ground rules at the beginning of class and just asked people to follow some basic ground rules, and haven't had any problems since then, knock on wood. But I do want people to feel comfortable. I don't want people to feel like they're being overly policed or that their language is policed. But I also think that good behavior isn't something that's wrong to expect.
Right. The thing about that story to me is that with Omni and so many women X and non-binary, non-gender conforming folks, it's common to experience comments about your appearance when you're there, when you're in the studio, or when you're editing audio, and it has absolutely nothing. It's common to be hit on, or it's common to be asked questions that they wouldn't dare ask anyone else in the room. And so I think like you said, I agree. I think it wasn't malicious, but it's important to say something. And so the way you handled it was, I'm sure, appreciated by that person. And your tact is very direct, but still welcoming at the same time. And I think that's
the accent. Having a Texas accent really sweetens the deal. You can be really direct and still sound like you're being super polite. Well, you can be direct and polite.
True stuff.
Yeah, but because it's also like the literal next few classes, I did it. I complimented someone on their appearance. Like their video came on. I was like, "Oh, look at you! You look so cute," or something like that. And I was like, "Oh my gosh,
you do it too?"
Yeah. And so I think it's it helps us all have that awareness of this is not the space. And that person was like, "Oh, why would I ever be offended if you like the way I look?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not. We don't want that to be a norm in this space. This is a professional space." So
Exactly. Well, let's segue actually into a little bit more lighthearted topic, which is tell me what your favorite thing about Omni is. It can be anything.
My schedule. Working for myself. I love working for myself. I've had 2 businesses before this, and I've had a lot of jobs, and I've had some good jobs, but I really love the freedom. I'm very disciplined. I don't have the problem of not sticking to a schedule. My schedule is totally, you tease me about it, actually.
Y'all, so let me tell you, one second, Lisa, I'm going to tell you. So Lisa will always be, and I am not, trust me, I am joking with you. I'm messing with you. So Lisa will be that person. If you send her a text on Sunday evening, I sent her a text on Sunday night, and I knew that she was either not going to read it or she was going to say, "Hey, I'll reply to you tomorrow on Monday when I'm in office." And I'm like, Lisa's the one that will, quote unquote, put you in check when she's out of office. Like, "Hey, I got your email, but I'm not going to read it until I'm back in the office."
It's tricky with you and I too. And also just with a lot of the teachers I've become friends with. So I socially text with a lot of you guys. And so obviously I'm going to always answer a social text. But I'm very disciplined about my work hours. So yeah, but I hate being left hanging. So I'll always answer and then be like, as soon as I clock in, I'll answer that. If it was an emergency, I would definitely help you right on the spot, but if it can wait, it's going to wait. But you're going to get a reply.
Yeah, well, that's my main thing. Like, I don't like being left hanging either. And so I know if I send you something, you're going to reply. But it's just always funny to me because I called it. I'm like, she's going to say, got your text. Talk to you tomorrow.
But if you were like texting me about The Bachelorette or something, then I would have answered right away.
Gotcha.
No,
oh my goodness.
Teasing.
It's fine.
Yeah, so my schedule, I love that. I love the freedom, especially right now with the pandemic. It's been obviously really nice to be able to have the time to build a business during scary time financially. But I really love to be creative, and I love event planning. That's what my background is in. So a lot of people think that I'm an audio engineer, and then they'll be like, how do you, because, Omni, we have 5 or 6 events a month. And some of them are really big. We have sponsors for each event. There's a lot of coordination that goes on. And audio engineers are extremely organized. Thank God. I love working with you guys on this. Because you always get me everything I need right on time. I should knock on wood. But that's been my experience so far. And so for me, it's just drawing on that event planning background, which is fun. It fires up a certain part of my brain that just makes me feel like really excited and awake and alive, which for me to feel awake is a good thing. I never feel awake. And so, yeah, that's my favorite part. It just fires up my brain in a really fun, fulfilling way.
Nice.
So it's all selfish.
Okay, got you. Well, self-care is best care, as they say. So, anywho, Lisa, do you want to share where the audience can find Omni Sound Project?
Yeah, we are online at omnisoundproject.com. We have a social presence on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn under Omni Sound Project. And I think the most valuable offering we have is our email list. I send out an email once a week, and it's always got everything that's coming up. There's usually like some freebies in there. There's usually some recommendations for other resources. So I think it's like I put a lot of work into it to try to not make it feel like, just another spammy weekly email. And so I think that is the number one thing to do is sign up for the email list.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being on the show. You've been incredible. I have one more random surprise question, and that is, you're given an elephant. You can't get rid of it. What do you say to it?
What do I say to it?
Yep.
Does it speak
English? It speaks English. It speaks English. It speaks English.
Oh, I mean, I think that just sounds so exciting. I'd be like, where do you want to go? What do you want for dinner? Should we share this tent?
My goodness.
I would love to have an elephant.
Right? Elephants are amazing. Oh my goodness. So thank y'all so much for listening. This is one of my favorite people in the whole world. So Lisa, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. I'm so excited to hear your podcast.
Thank you. Y'all follow the Omni Sound Project in the show notes as well. We'll have everything. And y'all take care.
Bye.
Don't forget to leave a rating of the show. It helps to make us better. Thanks so much. Y'all take care.